Can you see anyone having at the antidote for Khabib?
No, overly. I'm sure if him and Conor fought again, it would be a different. I don't think Conor's got what has to beat him, but I thought Justin Gaethje would have given him a harder fight. But
that's what made me think to myself when I seen that Gaethje fight.
I
had Gaethje winning it. I thought Gaethje was going to win.
I thought here this was a tester. This is definitely a dodgy fight for the guy 29-0, and it was going to be his last one. So, but you see that new breed, you see that whole division, man. The top 4 or 5 and that top 10, they're all killers. Like there's no, like unreal that other. And now Michael Chandler's not mix because what he done the big Dan Hooker as well. I thought that was going to be a good fight. So that big overhand, I just caught him like so.
Can you see a way back for Conor, or do you think Conor's done?
I think he needs to just concentrate on MMA. You know, he's boxing and he's got the hunger and all still there, man. To do that training and put in the effort he does. But it just shows you the game has evolved so much. Like that year or so out, he's had out. Like the game's evolved and he hasn't that superhuman aura about him anymore. Like he can be beat, and
I think once you lose that, it gives fighters just like when we got to fighters in Ireland got to the UFC, dispelled that myth that we weren't good enough. And then it's evolved. And I think the same thing's happened with Conor. Sadly, I think as much as I don't like the way Conor presents himself as the marketing guy. It's brilliant what he does. He's phenomenal. But I don't like it for the grassroots, the effect it has on grassroots. You know, fighters, you seen like when it was Conor Mania, you seen all the wee lads getting on like Conor, and they didn't have the right to do that in my opinion because they hadn't earned it. I suppose Conor backed everything up. He deserves the credit to what he done. You know, from he's 16, he said he's going to do it. But I don't like the way it's leached into the grassroots and kids are now on Facebook slabbering each other. I think that takes away from the sport. Yeah,
definitely. I didn't like that side. It got too far. Like, fair enough, imitate your hero and imitate whatever to get where you want to go, but there was no respect anywhere there. I kind of left the martial arts side behind, and it was too personal. And like, but the last time, now the other side of the coin, I think he was too level-headed and too friendly. The last one with Dustin Poirier there, I don't think he was aggressive enough. You know, you don't have to talk shit all the time, but
I won £100 from that, so I was glad. I had Poirier to win. I just knew something told me he wasn't going to win it. My personal opinion is I think McGregor's past his sell-by date now. I think too many people know him. He's lost that fear factor, like Tyson when Tyson got knocked out. You know, and I think, but I do think there's definitely potential for other young up-and-coming fighters to maybe start taking that crown and start pushing themselves towards. And I think Ireland could get themselves back on the mat very soon in the next 4 or 5 years. Do you have anyone you're looking at in your club going, whoa?
Well, definitely Ray still get his. Ray still do well. Like, basically, it's just this kind of career break he's having. It's not fair. He's got the opportunity of a lifetime, and he can't train properly for it. Like, we were getting 2 hour-and-a-half sessions a week. With just 4 people to train for like the UFC. So it's either relocate to America, but basically the way it was left, just get a bit more experience. When all the restrictions are lifted, we'll have you back again. They see a potential and they see a future in him. So it's a tough pill to swallow, but he'll be back there, and you'll see him. See him going all the way. Like, he's got the potential. He's got the head screwed on. He's level-headed. He's well-mannered, and he trains hard and very smart. Like, fight IQ wise, smart as well. So, and there's
more striker, more, isn't he?
More striker, but he can go on the ground too, wrestling on the ground as well. But it's entertaining. Everybody likes to see a good knockout, a good brawl, you know. But it's just that mix, and you don't always have to please the crowd. You know, take it to the ground. And as MMA, I keep telling them, as MMA, keep the opponent guessing. It's not just a boxing match. It's not just a wrestling match, or it's not a grappling match. If you know, grapple a bit, strike a bit, wrestle a bit. Just keep them guessing.
Yeah, there's. I think the one thing I've noticed about MMA is definitely it's no longer you're a boxer, you're a jiu-jitsu, you're an MMA fighter, and you're well-rounded. There isn't very many people that you can turn around and say McGregor would have been a striker. Do you know that's been one of the few, but for those making it, they have to have an all-round game, and it requires such discipline and dedication these days to learn the skills. When we were doing it, we were learning out of magazines. Now you've got
VHS tapes, man. VHS tapes.
I don't bring back the nostalgic bit. It makes me happy. I just see them smiling the whole time. It's just,
I can remember too, man. Davey bringing a laptop and like a copy disc and kind of watching a couple of moves, but then we'd add our own stuff onto it.
I must have honestly about 150 copied DVDs that I still look at Tito Ortiz series.
That's
and
right, man. I've
got them all. Back in the end days, the UFC back in the end days was for me it was better. And maybe I'm just thinking romantically about it, but there was something about the Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz series, and there was all these, great fighters that just had great fucking like competitions against each other, and it's become almost too business-like for me now. I've sort of lost the.
It kind of is. It's all business now. It is. I know what you mean. Back then, it was all they were killers and they were like training. It was like there was no glamour to it. There was no business side of it. There was no PR, no yellow ticks at your Twitter or friggin' Instagram account. It was basically
you were a fighter.
You fought and you're a fighter. That was it.
I think a lot of guys aren't fighters anymore. I think a lot of guys are they like the image of a fighter.
100%. They've been about for years.
Yeah.
They want the name on the poster or the photo on the poster, and then they do shit all about it. Like, but
what's your opinion in grassroots? I'm very strong opinion on this. I'd like to see your opinion. Grassroots MMA. On one side, you've got shows that are helping push young fighters, give them the taste of what it's like. On the other side, these same shows, they're pushing first-time fighters to fight in their crowds of 1,000 people, and they're promising ticket deals. And in my opinion, a grassroots fighter like amateur boxing, there shouldn't be money involved. There should be lots of shows in the internal club shows, in my opinion, where fighters can learn their trade under less pressure. Like fighting in front of 1,000 people. People do not understand how much balls it takes to get in the cage and
100%. Do that. And everyone's the videos and phones now as well. You've all that side of it as well. No,
so how do you change it?
Well, I would keep the grassroots. Can you remember it used to be D class, C class, the Pro B, and then Pro? Like I think that because like the D class was in like a community center or like a hotel. There was no ticket sales. It was just basically fighters and coaches and all the competitors and athletes. And that's how Alan Philpott got the name Apprentice, because I made them. All the boys had to do 5 to 10 D class before they get into the C class, and then they got the C class again, 5 to 10 of them, and then Pro B and then Pro. It was kind of like a stepping stone. But again, I would do off. Andy Ryan used to do it good with Battle Zone. No entrance music, no lights, no glamour. You came, you fought. Basically, friends and family was always there to watch you. Because that's a lot of pressure too, and the likes of promoters, getting guys to pay up front now. They book a place in their card. Pressure. They sell tickets. I think back then you sold the ticket, you made a $5, so it was up to you. The money you sold, you could make money. You didn't get fucked off in the purse. I'm not around $5. Was it just be? Was it fuck? It was only the winner. It was £500 for the winner, and up to you split it. But you could have kept the 500 one. Fuck you to the opponent, or I think the average was 350, 150.
What? I got 50 quid. 50 quid for winning my fight. It was actually against Michael Redmond.
No way, I was right now.
That was my last fight. That's a funny story because I remember, and I actually watched the video back recently, but I remember that was the fight. In the middle of that fight, I decided I didn't want to fight again. I remember I threw this big, I think it was a right hook or left hook, and everyone just went, ooh. I just missed his head by inches.
Oh, no way.
And I remember thinking to myself, when everyone booed, I went, I'm here, and all these motherfuckers want one of us to die. And I just thought to myself, what am I doing? And I can remember even in the fight, I hit him in the jab in the nose or bust his nose, and his nose is pouring. And I stepped back and went, go on, clean your nose. Because I just didn't want to be there anymore. I can remember just losing the all will and all heart to win. And I made that conscious decision that after that fight, I would never fight again.
No
and
way.
That was funny. It's funny, I don't know. But 50 quid I got for that fight. And
no way.
Professional.
But even that, but there was no dough. You made the ticket sales and you got £1 or £2 from that. But that was a title fight. I think I had that night with me and Emma, and it was 500 to the winner, and it was up to you if you wanted to give the loser any money. You could have been a cunt about the thing and kept the whole 500. That kind of rule of thumb was you get 350 and you gave them 150 for showing up. So no.
I remember, like in 2015, I contacted Danny Core. and I think it was you as well about starting up the
UMMA thing.
Yeah,
it's still going, but everything's in the back burner here with all this COVID nonsense, man. It's you can get fuck all done, and Danny's been knocking his pan on now for.
As I was about to say, Danny's just made wonders. Like, I stepped back. I just decided it wasn't for me anymore. MMA wasn't for me, and I stepped back. But I'm glad they've been the person who started it. But Danny said, "Danny, let's do this."
I remember all the first of us got together. Was that up at the other? No, I call it the skate park.
It was an Iron Fit. When I was home,
the upstairs part.
Yeah.
And
but I've always thought to myself that why has no one adopted a system in MMA to ensure that grassroots kids get the best opportunity? In my opinion, I still think this would be the best option, would be inter-club fights where only coaches and fighters get to watch. But if you're not fighting, you're watching the fight. So give the people something, to give those fighters a bit of pressure, a bit of adrenaline, fighting for. And then the next stage would be like a C class or D class type thing where you've only got like close family, and that slow stepping stone, I think that needs to be implemented, and there need to be some sort of rules where, like you said, you have to have X amount of fights before you can move to this one. That way you're going to weed out the ones who want the glory, and you're going to find that the ones who are serious. And
raise the weak from the chaff as such. That's that's a proper progression, stepping stone, or a platform like that. But that UMMA had that all lined out, like from the kids right through, and it was like, from 7 to 11 done certain stuff, and that certain moves were taken out,